2. Hello everyone, welcome live to 3YTV tonight's broadcast of the Total Nonstop Racing Thornton Graphix Grand National Series here from Talladega for the Polyhedral Cathedral 160 here around the famed 2.66 mile super speedway in Talladega, Alabama. I am Peter Short, and joining me in the booth here tonight, no, it's not Bob Giaquinto, it is Mitchell Adams. We'll see Bob Giaquinto on the racetrack here today. It's definitely going to be a lot of fun keeping track of his progress, but here tonight, Mitchell, we're at Talladega. Anything can and often will happen here at this super speedway. Question already in the chat is, when will we see the big one? Of course, that is the naughty words to say here when you come to Talladega. What do you think here tonight, Mitchell? When do you think we will see the big one here tonight in the Polyhedral Cathedral 160?
I think if we're going to see one in the early stages of the race, I'd say the first 10 laps. I think this race is probably either going to be we're going to see one early or there just won't be one. I'm kind of feeling like hopefully we won't get one. I've got a good feeling about this race tonight, but I may have just pulled the commentator's curse out in the first 5 seconds of me speaking on the broadcast. You never know, but either way, Peter, I think we're in for a show here tonight.
Pretty even in the poll in the chat right now. The third is winning, only 5 votes. If you are interested in getting in on the tally in the chat, make sure you vote on the poll that we currently have going right now. We want to welcome everyone here into tonight's broadcast here at Talladega in the Total Nonstop Racing Thornton Graphix Grand National Series. You're looking at a couple of these drivers. The number 98 there, Tristan Maher. Number 97, Mike Floppy Teller. You got Jason Gracias, as well as the number 22 of Stephen Kegman, who has a fighting shot here tonight at Talladega. Winner of a race last season here in the Thornton Graphix Grand National Series on a super speedway. Then you see Daniel Buttafuoco there in the number 30 machine there with the number 46 right back behind him. A little bit of a new look on that number 46. You see Mike Floppy Teller go top of the board. Stephen Kegman, he's going to go up into third, but that number 46 machine that you see out there is J.D. Laird right there, halfway down the back stretch, going off into turn number 3 here, right behind Daniel Buttafuoco. Gonna see a couple of these drivers practicing here, Mitchell, of what we're gonna expect to see in a little bit.
Yeah, practice can be pretty important here at the super speedways. It really gives the drivers a chance to feel out the people they're going to be drafting with for all 60 laps of this race here, but as we're seeing practice come to the end, but these been nice, pretty clean drafting here we've seen in this pack we're looking at right now. As we're rolling over into qualifying, I definitely look for drivers to use that, what they gained from practice, and know who maybe can help them out here. But checkered flag waving here on the qualifying session, Peter, and we're headed over, or excuse me, I mixed up my words. We're headed over from the practice session into qualifying now.
So 5 minutes for these drivers to go out there and set a fast lap time. They have 2 fast laps at speed at which they can turn the lap that might set the pole here tonight. There is the Sim Shots number 8 machine, Andrew Himmelman, who finished up his homework here tonight. School is back in session for Andrew. And the number Sim Shots number 8 Chevy Camaro is going out there onto the racetrack. Of course, hasn't been here, I think, the last 2 weeks here in the Total Nonstop Racing Thornton Graphix Grand National Series. But he's back out there here tonight. Mitchell, he could be one to keep an eye on tonight.
Yeah, definitely someone I've been able to work with a lot in my own driving out on super speedways, and I know he's very good at managing the draft, and so I definitely look for him to try to have a really good run here tonight on his return, as we're looking at the number 10 also out on track, kind of running up higher. But I'm really curious to see, Peter, with qualifying here, some drivers may not choose to take laps as we're looking at more cars fly by, but what do you think the strategy is going to be here we see from most of these drivers?
Well, at least in qualifying, they're going to run the high line the first 2 laps. Their out lap, and then their first flying lap, and then they'll jump down to the bottom side of the racetrack for their fast lap, which will be on their second time lap. We're keeping our eyes here on 3YTV Zone, the Polyhedral Cathedral number 23 machine. That, of course, is Mr. Bob Giaquinto himself, usually up here in the 3-wide TV booth, but he is not. Tonight, he's out there on the racetrack. I got to have some fun back at Circuit of the Americas on the road course. Well, now Bob gets to go out there on the super speedway and have some fun here tonight. We'll be checking in with a driver of the number 23 machine here multiple times here tonight on the 3-wide TV broadcast. Should be a lot of fun, as Bob will be our official Polyhedral Cathedral in race reporter. Should be a lot of fun following up on that as he comes around to complete his first time lap. We're also getting some more drivers complete their first time lap. There is the number 13, James Arello. He's come across. So far, he has the top time. Nick Chambrone in the 0-1 has also turned a lap. Bob Giaquinto's turned a lap. There's Anthony DeBarro in that number 27 machine. We know Anthony was lightning quick last week and does have the points lead by 15 points over Tim Johnston entering into tonight's round 8. Now, of course, if you were here with us last week at the Milwaukee Mile, Anthony DeBarro was able to pick up that win with a late race strategy call to pick up some tires under a late caution flag and was able to charge his way up to the front in that number 27 DeBarro Sliders Toyota Camry. Let's go check out some other drivers that we have out there on the racetrack right now as he comes around to complete his second lap time. James Arello has jumped to top of the board in the number 13 machine. So 2 really quick laps for the Silent Syndicate Racing number 13. We'll see if any of these drivers can top him. Tim Johnson going to jump up into third. Anthony DeBarro just jumped up into the second position. Bob Giaquinto currently sitting inside the top 10 in 9th. There he is, just now peeling off the racetrack. We're watching Shane Ewing here, the number 32. He has not put in a lap time at all currently. So we'll see whether or not Shane can pick it up here in that number 32 machine. But so far, things looking good for the number 13 of James Arello here, Mitchell.
Yeah, so far, doesn't look like anybody's been able to top him. Times are pretty close up front, but he's got a little bit of a lead over Anthony DeBarro put in that second fastest lap. I think there's a few drivers left on track who have yet to put it in a time as Spencer Tart jumps up into the third position now over JT Poole. Looking there at the 21 of I'm gonna find the name Nick Cohan. That was it. As he's out for his second lap here, I believe. We're looking through more of the drivers. There's the 30 car coming around for his lap. Up into the second position for Daniel Buttafuoco. Excuse me if I pronounced that wrong. Just 1/1000th of a second behind James Lorello. Very close, but Lorello still holds that pole with 14 seconds left in qualifying.
Yeah, Daniel had to actually correct me. We called him Buttafuoco when he first joined, but that is incorrect. It's actually Daniel Buttafuoco. So an F-O-O, even though it's F-U-O, but hey, it is what it is. Looks like checkered flag is out, and sure enough, it will be James Arello picking up the pole award here tonight at the Talladega Super Speedway. How about that, folks? We'll see if we can bring up tonight's starting lineup for you here at the Talladega Super Speedway. Should definitely be one heck of a good race here around this racetrack. And let's see if we can bring up the grid. There we go for the Polyhedral Cathedral 160 here on 3-wide TV. James Arello, Daniel Buttafuoco on the front row, just 1/1000th of a second separate them. Anthony DeBarro, 9/1000ths of a second slower than James Arello. He'll be starting on the inside row number 2 with his Dizzy Motorsports teammate Shane Ewing to the outside. Spencer Tart, JT Poole on row number 3. Tim Johnson, Nick Chambrone, a couple of the Dizzy Motorsports machines on row number 4 with Nick Cohan, their teammate in the number 21 in 9th, and Tristan Maher rounding out your top 10 there, Mitchell.
And Andrew Himmelman's going to start us off in the 11th spot with his teammate Colin O'Leary in 12th. Josh Gerlach will start in the 13th position with Bob Giaquinto. Sorry, Bob, in 14th. Casey Miller starts 15th with Bill Edwards 16th. Austin Grover 17th. John Borst rolls off 18th. And then rounding out the top 20 are Kyle Lewis and Kevin Stone.
Back behind them, Todd Kirkwood, Jimmy McKee on row number 11, J.D. Laird and Jason Freeman on row number 12. Back behind them, big field here tonight. We got Jason Gracias and Cam Caldwell, row number 13, Stephen Doziak, Mike Floppy Tellier, row 14, Philip Scott and Vincent Valvano rounding out your top 30 there, Mitchell.
And Justin White will start in the 31st position with Garrett Gleason is outside in 32nd. Briar Fritz rolls off 33rd. Stephen Kagman 34th. Jason Shue 35th. And Tony Lucarelli rounds out your field in 36th.
All right, so that's going to be it for the starting field here tonight. You see all these drivers just coming here on to the backstretch. Let's see if we can get a very quick word with Mr. Bob Giaquinto, see if we can grab him up into the 3-wide TV booth. Bob Giaquinto, Peter Short, 3-wide TV booth, getting set to go racing there, but what are you expecting to see here tonight?
Man, I am looking forward to this one. It's gonna be nerve-wracking, not gonna lie, but you know what? Let's do it.
So what's your strategy here tonight, Bob? Of course, the big one is always going to be something to keep our eyes on here at Talladega Super Speedway. You going to stay up at the front, drop to the back? You going to tell us some deets?
You know, honestly, at this point, I'm just going to see what's going on. If it gets a little too dicey up front, I'm definitely going to be dropping back. But, you know, we'll see how the first couple of laps go and go at it from there. All
right, Bob. Best of luck in the number 23 here tonight, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you a couple times during the race here tonight.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, well, that is Bob Giaquinto, folks. So we'll let him get back to it here as we're just waiting to see the green flag come out for your pole sitter driver of the number 13 machine. Of course, that is James Zarello here tonight. Really appreciate each and every one of you joining us here on 3-Wide Team in the Total Nonstop Racing Thornton Graphix Grand National Series for the Polyhedral Cathedral 160. Your leaders working their way through the trioval. Ooh, we got someone back there jumping up to the top side of the racetrack. Some of these drivers really not formed up here, and looks like we are going to get another lap under the caution flag. Not sure what that was all about, but you see the iRacing official pace car. I wonder there, Mitchell, if they saw some drivers not exactly lined up, and so they had to call an extra lap here kind of as an audible.
I think I saw coming out of turn 4 toward the back of the field there where some drivers got stacked up or something, and a bunch of them had to jump out of line to avoid kind of piling into each other. So I'm guessing that just kind of spiraled, and a bunch of drivers kind of not where they were supposed to be for this restart. So the Total Nonstop Racing League is going to give us one more lap here, and that pace car is going to lead us around again, and hopefully we're going to get green flag this the next time.
Yeah, just looking to see if any of these drivers have any rear end damage, and I'm not seeing any of that. Someone went down there to kill the good old blue cone on the backstretch. And the iRacing pace car finally works its way up in front of the number 13 of James Zarello here, folks. So a little bit of an extra lap under caution. This lap will not count if you're wondering, but just an opportunity for all these drivers to get lined up. Some of those drivers towards the back maybe a little bit too lined up, as the different strategies, I think, are already starting to come into play here at Talladega. Mitchell, I know you've raced here many times. There's kind of two strategies. You either go up to the front to try and be in front of the big accident, or you drop to the rear to be behind the big accident. So far that you can actually slow up as, again, drivers starting to check up there. We saw, who was that? Nick Cohan there dropping below the yellow line as to not run into the back of his teammate. That looked like it happened up around Anthony DeBarro. DeBarro not formed up at the back bumper of the number 13 of James Zarello at the moment. So hopefully these drivers can kind of stay where they are right now. We just need a picture that looks like that all the way to the drop of the green flag. But Mitchell, those two strategies. What's your strategy here tonight?
I usually always go for that, try and get in front of the wreck and be up in front of it when it happens strategies, just because I feel like I'm better at doing that than just trying to sit around and be patient. But we're going to have to see what all these drivers do, as the iRacing pace car has pulled down into pit road, looking at the flagman, ready to wave the green flag. There it is for your leader, James Zarello. He takes the field to green with a great restart on the inside lane.
Yeah, James Zarello, has he gotten a little bit too far in front of the number 27 of Anthony DeBarro as Daniel Buttafuoco on that high line. The number 30 machine doesn't have any sponsors on that number 30. He is being pushed by the number 32 of Shane Ewing, the Rayovac machine, right there on the top line as they start to get formed up and head down the backstretch for the first time. Kyle Lewis, the number 18, is the car on the right-hand side of your screen, who's already dropping down below the apron. Buttafuoco drops down to the bottom side, cuts off James Zarello, but that high line, the 26 of JT Poole, giving a big push to Shane Ewing. Where's Ewing going to go? He's going to drop down to the low side, give JT Poole the high line, and they're side by side for the race lead here, coming to the completion on lap number 1.
Yeah, that outside lane got formed up a lot better than the inside did, as the 27, I believe, pulled down lower on the track, maybe dropping back, I'm not quite sure, but no, headed down pit road, Peter. I see he's gotten black flagged by the admins. I don't know what that was for, if that was a previous penalty. Maybe you can fill us in on that a little more, Peter, but yeah, just a great restart for that outside lane. I thought nearly contact between the 32 and the 30 going down the back straightaway, but JT Poole gave a great push there, and that's what I know him JT's a very good pusher here on these super speedways, so I'd watch for more of that from him here today.
And how about this already 3 wide on 3 wide TV? You just love to see it. The number 98, Tristan Maher, on the high line. Now he's going to be able to duck in behind the number 62 of Colin Ullery in the Monster Energy machine. But coming out of turn number 4, JT Poole with a big push from Nick Chambrone and his Dizzy Motorsports teammate there of Nick Cohan in that Burke Coffee Roasters number 21 machine. The winner 2 weeks ago back at the Texas Motor Speedway. Almost winner at the Texas Motor Speedway, I should say, as was involved in a very, 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 very late accident in that one. We probably should reprise that, because look who's right behind him. The driver who was involved in that little bit of a scuffle coming to the checkered flag, Colin Ullery, and probably Nick Cohan's thinking Ullery has to pay him a little bit of a favor after that. Ullery blew a tire in turn number 4 coming to the checkered flag and got up into the wall, came down across the nose of Nick Cohan, took him out. I'm sure if Nick Cohan's either watching this race right now or watching the race on replay, just it's like daggers going into his side, those words, but nonetheless, those two are running together out there on the racetrack right now. Interesting storyline here tonight at Talladega Super Speedway. But JT Poole still getting that push from Nick Chambrone and leading the field as they run right now. Pretty much double file all the way back to where you get. Ooh, James Zarello says, you know what, I'm having enough. I've seen enough of this. He's going to drop to the back. But I was going to say it goes all the way back to the Desert Hobbies machine back there. Of course, one of those is driver of the number 14 machine, Kevin Stone, and Todd Kirkwood. They're running together out there on the racetrack in the 18th and 20th positions as they run. And look at this pack here, Mitchell. What a pack right now. 3 wide up there at the front as Nick Chambrone's worked his way now up to the front of the field.
Yeah, that outside lane really shuffled around. Some drivers went up to that highest lane, but looking up front, you've got Nick Chambrone getting a great push from Nick Cohan. That'll take him out to the race lead. Cohan almost clear, but right behind him, only 5 laps into the race, 3 wide. We have 3 cars working that higher lane. I saw Colin Ullery go up there to work with JT Poole, and I don't know who else is up there with him right now. Looks like Andrew Himmelman just jumped up to the top, and they have a huge run down the back straightaway. 3 wide, nose to nose into turn 3 is riding on board the rear of JT Poole, up over 180 miles an hour. Their run kind of fizzled out through the turn, but I'd watch him to have another big run. Is actually Colin Ullery into the wall coming out of turn 4. That's going to slow the higher lane up, but yeah, we're 3 wide already, and it doesn't look like that's changing very quickly.
Yeah, you could see when Ullery there smacked the wall, he lost quite a bit of speed due to the friction with the outside retaining wall. So he dropped back a little bit, and the outside line suffers because of it. We're still 3 wide. The 0 of John Borst right there in the middle of 3 wide. Looks like someone else has seen enough. That's Spencer Tart in the number 78. He says, I'm going to drop to the back of the field. There he is. He's going to join in line, probably back behind the number 23 of Bob Giaquinto. Bob giving him plenty of room to get back up the racetrack. There's Bill Edwards, the number 50 S2R machine. We'll see if we can have any Bill Edwards fans in the chat here tonight. We do have Greg G saying good luck, Nick. Logan Skelton saying good luck, Phil. Ben Adams saying, hey guys. Stephen Doziak, evening all. The Windsors, there you go. There's your Bill Edwards fan in the chat. Garrett Gleason was wrong. He said there would be the big one on lap number 1. Buddy, we've made it to lap number 6. Maybe that's going to be the kiss of death. We'll find out whether or not we have. If I was a betting man, I mean, I've said it. I'm sure if you're in the chat, you probably said, you know what, lap number 6, Peter Short said it. This is it. Let's see the big one, folks. It's wanting to happen. I can feel it. It's just starting to get stirred up there, Mitchell.
Yeah, 3 wide, definitely. It makes it much more likely, but these guys are giving each other plenty of room to side, but that high lane of those 3 cars up there, they've been pushing very aggressively, but you can see it's keeping them with them nose to noses. Again, Colin Ullery's car steps out on him a little bit, maybe not quite handling how he'd like it, but JT Poole led that last time around. I'm curious to see. I don't think they've got the run this time. That inside lane seems to be ahead a little bit, but only 3 cars on that highest lane, but they're making it work up there, Peter, and if they could get some more cars to jump up with them, they might run it to the front.
Yeah, that outside line just starting to slip back just a little bit now as Nick Chambrone continues to lead the second line. You see Nick Cohan there maybe getting a little bit of clean air on the nose of his Toyota Camry. Shane Ewing, the Disney Motorsports machine, leads the inside line with Daniel Buttafuoco behind him in the number 30. So some really strong players up at the front of the field so far here tonight at the Talladega Super Speedway. Looks like our good old friend Bob Giaquinto holding on to this lead pack right now. We're on board with the number 23 machine right now, right behind the number 83. I believe that's the number 83 right in front of him of Austin Grover, also up there in this lead pack. Look at the cars kind of bobble back and forth, and that's something you don't see a whole lot of when you're in those kind of TV camera shots there, Mitchell, but when you're in these cars racing the pack and you're tight, close quarters with everyone else, you definitely feel these cars weave and bob all the way down the backstretch and in the corners.
Yeah, it's really hard here at these bigger super speedway tracks. You have to keep that car going in a straight line because you can see right up in front of them. If you go too high up or too far down, if you're in that middle lane, you're into another car. There's such little room for error when you're running in a tight pack like this. And really, when you're down right in them, you can see, as you even see here, those cars, they're not holding a straight lane. They are moving back and forth a little bit, but those drivers just have to be paying attention, trying to keep from moving as little as possible. And those white lines, they're kind of a good reference point for where that straight lane is. But big run coming there from the higher lane. You might start seeing JT Poole slide up into this picture as we're nose to nose again going into turn 3, that highest lane, not giving up, but they're definitely, I think, having to fight a lot more than those 2 inside lanes are.
That is for sure. Now, what we are starting to see is the number 27 machine, Anthony DeBarro, who had that drive-through penalty at the start of the race. That was due to contact last week at the Milwaukee Mile. He is on the verge of going a lap down, and as you can see with the field running 3 wide, it's going to be extremely difficult for Anthony DeBarro to find a spot where he can kind of drop to the back of this group and slot in his number 27. So that will happen here momentarily as soon as we stay caution-free here at the Talladega Super Speedway. We're continuing to see 3 wide action here on 3 Wide TV. Of course, the most exciting action is always 3 wide. 4 wide gets a little bit sketchy after that, and then you start to get into sketchy action. We don't like sketchy action here on 3 Wide TV, but this pack here, really, really impressive here in the early running, as we already have 10 laps logged here at Talladega.
Yeah, it's just been fantastic driving from all these drivers to not get into each other and keep it clean here. 3 wide for, I think, about half as we've been green, as it looks like Anthony DeBarro going to the higher lane. I would not have expected him to go up. I would have probably gone down below that yellow line and just let that lead pad go through, as we're going to ride on board with him, close with Andrew Himmelman. He made it work. I'm kind of surprised. Great driving by everyone to take it 4 wide through the turn, but yeah, kind of surprising, in my opinion, Peter, that he stayed up. There's almost contact. JT Poole they kept it clean. JT Poole, now the leader on the inside lane, as we're going back and taking a look once again through turns 1 and 2 at how the field worked through that lap car and Anthony DeBarro. Just look at how tight things got. Almost contact between the 21 and 32. Really close racing, but great job by everyone to get through there in one piece.
Yeah, that was, like I said, 4 wide action. It's a little sketchy, folks. 3 wide, ooh, even 3 wide can be a little bit sketchy, as Nick Cohan might have gotten a little bit of a shot, and now he's broken up from Nick Chambrone. I think that's the first time we've really seen that. JT Poole now on the inside. Now Chambrone broken up with Shane Ewing. Here comes Tim Johnson, luckily another one of his Dizzy Motorsports teammate, as we continue to see 3 wide pushing. The high line working just as well as the inside. Now you're also seeing the 05 machine, a little bit of a new face here to the Total Nonstop Racing Thornton Graphix Grand National Series. That is the 05 driven by Casey Miller. Miller, the 3rd car in the inside line right there. You see him right behind Daniel Buttafuoco. Great looking hot rod right there, and trying to work his way up to the front here at Talladega Superspeedway. We are noticing kind of 2 groups kind of forming around the racetrack. You got some of these, I'd call them front group stragglers, like Tristan Maher that you see here. But then back behind, Maher, it's kind of a bunch of drivers, kind of somewhat all in line. I mean, they're all kind of back there, kind of running together, just running their race. You see Cam Caldwell back there in the number 12 machine there, Mike Floppy Tellier right in front of him, Philip Scott behind him, Doziak's back there, Kyle Lewis, Tony Lucarelli, Jason Shue, Garrett Gleason, Stephen Kegman, looks like Jason Freeman, and Jason Gracias is the caboose of the train here at Talladega Superspeedway as they run. Although, looks like he's getting around Stephen Kegman. They'll make Stephen Kegman the caboose now here as they continue to follow their way around, but all the action still up at the front as Tim Johnson and Nick Cohan getting tight. Cohan here, Mitchell, if there's anyone who's had a heart attack yet, it definitely would be the number 21 of Nick Cohan, because it seems like every single time we see a car getting close to another one, it's someone getting close to the side of that 21.
Yeah, him and probably all the drivers around him too, because if there's a wreck in this pack, there's not really room for anybody else to go much anywhere to get around it, and you just have to kind of close your eyes and hope you get through it. But yeah, still 3 wide up here. It kind of makes being one of those stragglers back there, Peter, not necessarily the worst place to be, because if something goes wrong up here, you're there to pick up the pieces. But these guys really have been doing a great job holding it 3 wide, and we see a lot more takers now on that highest outside lane. They've kind of established that they can make it work. It doesn't always work here on iRacing, but definitely right now that 32 and the 21 now making it work is kind of where everybody's running, shifted around a little bit. But it's really, Peter, I've been really impressed. We didn't have that big one, of course. I hope I don't jinx it again, but really it's been aggressive racing. There's been a lot of drivers get super close, and we looked at the 4 wide instance where a lot of times that would have been a wreck. So just everybody up here doing a fantastic job, as we're about a quarter of the way through this race. But I have to imagine soon enough we're going to start reaching the end of these guys' fuel tanks.
Yeah, so we will just have to wait and see when they finally do start coming down pit road. Of course, pit strategy here at Talladega can be a little bit backwards, because if you have someone who will come down pit road with you, you can actually kind of swing things backwards, kind of like what you do at road course, because by yourself, you will more than likely end up losing a lap, just like what we saw happen with Anthony DeBarro. But if you have someone else come down pit road with you, usually you can have enough pace to stay in front of the main pack, and if a caution flag comes out, well, things just swap in your favor. So we'll see if we see any mixed strategies here tonight, or whether or not all these drivers will run it down to the last drop in their fuel tanks. As we're coming to lap number 18, what a stellar night. And look at Bob Giaquinto, the number 23 machine, starting to make some noise on the inside, just about to crack the top 10. He is currently running in the 11th position in the Polyhedral Cathedral number 23 machine. Of course, we have the Polyhedral Cathedral Dash for Cash in effect here tonight. And I'll see if we can figure out who the Polyhedral Cathedral Dash for Cash drivers here tonight are. And it appears like it is Briar Fritz, Todd Kirkwood, and Colin Ullery. So we'll see how those drivers are doing here tonight. Of course, Todd Kirkwood has had some pretty rotten luck here on the channel. But I think out of those drivers, I think it would be the number 62 of Colin Ullery and Todd Kirkwood. They're running actually side by side with one another right now. They are running ahead of the number 16 of Briar Fritz right there. So we got the 62, the number 19 right there of Todd Kirkwood, and the number 16 of Briar Fritz in the running here tonight in the Polyhedral Cathedral Dash for Cash. Now, if you're wondering, folks, how to be a part of the Polyhedral Dash for Cash, well, you have to finish badly the race prior. The bottom 3 finishers of the prior race become eligible for that Dash for Cash. So it's kind of things going a little bit backwards than what you typically find in NASCAR. But it makes some very exciting battles throughout the field each and every week. Now, Mitchell, just now starting to see that inside line here starting to lose a little bit of ground to the high line. As up at the front of the field, it looks like Shane Ewing, as I say that though, Ewing's going to drop to the low line and give a big help to that low line. As now we got a couple of the Disney Motorsports teammates all working together down there.
And a lot of drivers there kind of started to drop down to the inside as there was almost more contact with that 21 car, Peter. You were just talking about Nick Cohan just seems to be in a lot of the excitement, but yeah, those higher lanes really got the momentum going. I just don't know if the inside was just not formed up or if just the momentum got really swung in the favor of those higher lanes. But just like that, within maybe half a lap, that outside lane is gone. And now we're just back to 2x2. And really, most of the cars now down on the inside. So it went from a 3-wide race to almost single file here.
Yeah, so things just changing. Maybe these drivers starting to prepare for the inevitable pit stops that we will at least see once here tonight at the Talladega Superspeedway. As folks, if you voted in the poll at the start of the race to see the big one in the first third of the race, you're incorrect. No one, I think, said there would be no big one. Actually, no, I take that back. 21% said there would be no big ones here tonight. That's a bit surprising. I'll be perfectly honest with you. But for you people who voted that way, more power to you. Because with the way we have seen these drivers race here tonight, they have been showing masterful skill, giving everyone just enough room, and sometimes by fractions of inches, to work their way around the racetrack and keep every car so far nice and clean. Only one car is one lap down, and that was the one driver who received a drive-through penalty at the top of the show in the number 27 of Anthony DeBarro. So DeBarro is, of course, in the lucky dog position as they run, and we're moving ever closer to the halfway mark here in the Polyhedral Cathedral 160.
Yeah, definitely. So far, we've seen a lot of potentially big ones, but these drivers have done a great job so far of keeping it from that. And after the pit stops, the field gets a little bit spread out before it gets bunched back up again. And so we might get a little break before we see that 2 and 3 wide. You never know. The pit stops can just go so many different ways here at Talladega. As we're over a third of the way through the race now. So these drivers, you can see all those cars lined up on the inside lane. That's kind of an indication, some of them thinking they have to pit, but the outside lane starting to form back up again. Those drivers up there in that second groove got back bumper to bumper, and they're starting to make a run up toward the front of the field. That's Nick Cohan in the 21 leading that second groove. He's trying to chase down Shane Ewing in that 32, whose name I probably pronounced wrong, but yeah, it's just kind of, if you're in the outside lane, you just have to be watching your fuel gauge and kind of, at this point in the run, judging, do I think I need to find a hole down, or do I think I can wait it out till some of these guys pit to slot my way down into that second groove?
Absolutely. So we'll see exactly when these drivers elect to pull onto pit road here shortly. Tana Himmelman in the chat saying that she voted no because Garrett Gleason said so. Nicholas Rees. How's it going, Nicholas? Of course, one of the 3 Wide TV family. Hope you are doing well. Saying hello, hello. Good racing here. Absolutely. Great racing here tonight on 3 Wide TV. Catherine Monticelli, of course, surely related to Matt Monticelli, saying Garrett needs to pick it up. Let him know that I said the gas is on the right and to move it. Well, let's check in with driver of the number 7 machine, Garrett Gleason. There is Tony Lucarelli back there with Garrett Gleason. Of course, Garrett, a little bit of a throwback to the Talladega Nights Ricky Bobby me scheme, but has TNR on it instead of me. He just, he kind of, I don't know. With Garrett Gleason saying TNR on the hood, it kind of is me because Garrett Gleason is TNR and vice versa. So it kind of works in a deep way. Anyway, whatever. We won't get too deep into the philosophical meanings of Garrett Gleason's number 7 machine. Usually it's a Robbie Gordon scheme, so I'll let you come to the philosophical things about Robbie Gordon. But yeah, definitely the field's starting to get a little bit more single file here as this run goes on. Mitchell, maybe these tires just wearing a little bit, maybe preventing them from racing the way that we saw them earlier.
Yeah, and maybe just people are starting to think, well, we're getting kind of into the missions of this race, and maybe more drivers are kind of wanting to take it a little bit easier here. As, like you said, we're waiting for these pit stops to happen, and maybe they just don't want to be running 3 wide right now when people are trying to find their way down to the inside lane. But there's less cars now. There's only 4 cars in that outside lane, and Anthony DeBarro taking it 3 wide there, 1 lap down. Looking, I don't know quite where that is in the pack, but that's up toward the front. So they're getting a little more single file again up on that top, but it's just kind of, I'm noticing drivers just kind of jump up 3 wide and then jump back down in lane. There's really most of the drivers on the inside single file, but then those drivers there in that second group kind of a little more unorganized, but Nick Cohan's still able to almost make a run up to the lead as we're riding on board now through turns 1 and 2. You really see that speed down the back straightaway, and there's a great, I know we were talking about it earlier, Peter, the drivers moving around. You can really see that down the back straightaway, the change in lanes, and now that second groove really starting to stack up more against an aggressive side draft by Nick Cohan. You might have been able to barely see out of JT Poole's car there. Coming out of... Sorry, I just got distracted. There were some birds that flew by on my screen, Peter, but they're still staying out on the racetrack. I have to imagine at this point they're trying to stretch their fuel to at least lap 30 so that it's only 1 pit stop this race.
Wasn't it Dale Earnhardt that once upon a time hit a bird at Daytona International Speedway? Hopefully no one hits a bird here at Talladega. Tim Connolly in the chat saying, Peter, please PM me on Facebook. How do I join this league? Tim, I will try and shoot you a link to their Discord after this show is all said and done. Ben Adams might be able to give you a link as well. In fact, you know what? I'm an admin, so I can do these things. Actually, I will wait for afterwards. There might actually be a link in the description to the video as well. I can't remember whether or not I put a link in the description or not. Doesn't look like I did. So, anyway, nonetheless, I'll get back to you here in a little bit. Stay Tuned Sports jumping in the Stay Tuned Sports podcast saying, good evening, everyone. Jumped in to watch a few laps before bed. Dude, you're missing out. If you're not here on 3 Wide TV, this is one of the best races we have seen in a long time. 3 wide action, basically, for the first 29 laps or so. And we were just saying a little while ago, Mitchell, that things were getting a little bit single file. Well, not anymore. John Borse in the 0 machine working his way now up to the front of the field. How about that with a little bit of push from the lap car of Anthony DeBarro, who finds himself one lap down after a drive-through penalty at the top of the show. But we are closing in on the halfway mark. In just about a lap from now, we will see the cross flags here at the Talladega Superspeedway here in the Polyhedral Cathedral 160. Man, what a great race it has been so far. These drivers now 2 by 2 basically through the entire field.
I looked down from the screen and looked right back up again, and here's the field almost completely too wide now. We went from barely having a second groove to now there's a huge, you have to go way far back to find to find single file as James Lorello took it up to the top 3 wide, headed down into turn 3. An aggressive move from the driver of that. I know his number's different, 13. That's a different number than I know him for, but the pit window, I was just about to say that pit window opened this lap, and there goes Nick Cohan and a lot of other takers down to start the green flag pit stops.
Oh, John Borst almost getting into the side of Nick Cohan as we have green flag pit stops here at Talladega. And oh man, that is a heartbreak for Breyer Fritz right there. He just overshot his pit box a little bit and had to back up into it. Mitchell, pitting here at Talladega Superspeedway and Daytona, very difficult because you run a different brake package here at this racetrack than what you typically do on other racetracks. So these cars don't really like to stop here at Talladega. You don't really have to stop them a whole lot because you don't often get green flag pit stops. But here, green flag pit stops at the halfway mark. Who's going to come down pit road this time? Just waiting to see some of these drivers peel off. Looks like indeed we will have Casey Miller come down pit road. That looks lightning quick. That looks too quick for the 05 machine. Even Tristan Maher might have missed pit road speed. We'll see whether or not the 05, the 05 machine has a pit road speeding penalty or not. That definitely looked a little bit suspect there in Casey Miller, so we will keep our eyes on that, whether or not there will be a speeding penalty on that driver or not. Already we're seeing a couple of these drivers leave their pit stall, and looks like Casey Miller here, this is bad news. He is still in his pit box, and I think what that means here, sure enough, it is a speeding penalty for Casey Miller and the 05 machine. That is very, very tough to overcome. Now, we got some other drivers coming down pit road. Looks like Steven Kegman just coming out, Tony Lucarelli, Anthony DeBarro's on pit road with this group here, which is kind of a lead pack. JT Poole, Andrew Hibbelman, Colin Ullery in this group, as well as Bob Giaquinto. So looks like if everything stays green here tonight, fingers crossed, knock on wood, looks like just one pit stop for these drivers tonight.
Yeah, over halfway through the race now, these drivers hitting pit road, so unless some cautions come out or something crazy happens for some reason, I think we should see green flag, no pit stops to the end, which is exactly what we want to see here on 3 Wide TV as the field works around that 7 of Garrett Gleason. And Bill Edwards ducking down into pit road. James Lorello, oh, I thought he was going to stay out, just a little late entry. Lorello really fast into pit road. He hung on to it. That was a fast entrance from Lorello there. I'll be curious to see if he got that woe down in time. I don't think anybody spun around going into pit road, which is very good, but we definitely saw some aggressive pit entrances. But I think this is about the last group of cars we have to go down. So once these cars get on track, we're really going to see where they shake out compared to the drivers that pitted earlier.
Yeah, well, no, we'll just have to see whether or not the number 13 of James Zarella was able to get down. Caution flag! Caution flag is out! Caution flag at Talladega. We got a couple of drivers around. This is going to change the complexion of the race. Let's see what happened here. We're keeping our eyes on the number 32 of Shane Ewing. They're catching up to the number 62 of Colin Ullery, and Ewing just got loose. And oh my goodness, this is the big one at Talladega just after pit stops. And it took until lap number 33. Let's see if we can get another look at what exactly happened here. I think Shane Ewing just might have gotten loose here, Mitchell.
That's kind of what it looks like happened. That 62 committed to the middle lane, and they went up high to go around him. And The 21 too, I think might have gotten loose or just came down across Colin Ullery's nose. I don't know what happened, but that 21 went around too, and then just kind of mayhem there right after the green flag pit stops. You had drivers with a little more speed coming to catch Colin Ullery there in the 62. Went high. Yeah, you could see it. The wheel, he just went around as we're going to go for a little ride. He didn't end up going over, but heavy damage that's probably going to end the race for multiple drivers here, as we're going to get another look at it from outside. You see those two drivers really approaching the 62, and we're going to slow it down here for you. Nick Cohan goes high because Colin Ullery committed to the middle. It's kind of not necessarily the most common thing you would see there, and so they go high. The 32 really just nowhere to go, and I think the 21 also came down across the nose of the 62 there, I think, Peter, but you can see just absolutely nowhere to go for a lot of those drivers. Jason Gracias involved, the 0 up onto the nose of somebody, I don't know who, but that was a lot of cars taken out as you see someone again going down to the apron, barely getting through it. But yeah, Peter, that's going to change things here.
Yeah, that is for sure. Let's go on board here with driver of the number 18 machine, Kyle Lewis. Look at this view that Kyle Lewis got right here of this accident. There's the initial contact, and oh, there's a race car. And that's what the underneath of one of these machines looks like. Look at Nick Chambrone squeaking on through. Kevin Stone, the number 14, heavy damage to the Desert Hobbies. Now, somehow, some way in the iRacing world, the number 13 of Kyle Lewis looks like he comes away unscathed from that. Unbelievable craziness there. John Boris, lots of damage. He almost went up and over. Jason Gracias, the number 1 machine, his night is definitely not going to be the same. Looks like Josh Gerlach, his night isn't going to be the same after that one. His engine is smoking. Shane Ewing in the number 32. We saw him with all that damage. His number 32 crabbing back to pit road. But first accident of the night, and I'm sure some of these drivers will be a little bit surprised that maybe they got caught out there by the fact that the 62 of Colin Ullery was kind of taking the middle. I would have expected him to be down there on the low line. Maybe kind of just a late move up to the top side just kind of led to that accident, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just kind of in that position. You either expect the car you're coming up on to be down on the inside, and you just kind of work around him there in that second groove, or to be up on the wall to give you the inside. I'd say probably Colin Ullery was trying to give the inside. Maybe, I don't know how late he moved up again, but just really just kind of caught those drivers off guard, and definitely not what I would have expected or they expected there out on track. So, yeah, an unfortunate incident that is really going to shake the field up, because that was a lot of the drivers we've seen running up front. But looking at Anthony DeBarro coming off pit road, I don't imagine drivers would be back down pit road. As DeBarro's your lucky dog. Thank you, Peter, for filling me in on why we're looking at that 27. He's going to get his lap back that he lost with that early penalty. So definitely a good turn of events for the 27, but it comes at the expense of a lot of other cars.
Yeah, sure enough, it did, and some other drivers picking up a little bit of damage. We saw the number 10 right there, Jimmy McKee, just getting some right side damage. Hopefully that doesn't affect him all too much. He's still up there on the scoring pylon. He's currently being scored in the 6th position. There's Todd Kirkwood, one of the Desert Hobbies Ford Mustangs left in the show here tonight. Unfortunately, it looks like Kevin Stone's night will go no further here at Talladega Superspeedway. Just looking to see, I think we lost 4 cars in that madness. We're looking at maybe Casey Miller having a long pit stop in the 05 machine as well. Not sure if that was due to damage or what, but definitely a lengthy stay on pit road for Casey Miller, and he will actually fall 1 lap down in the 05. Of course, we do know that Casey Miller got dinged for speeding by the iRacing speeding police, so that might have had a little bit to do with the fact that he's now 1 lap down out there, and currently the only car 1 lap down. Tristan Maher, however, is in his pit box, and the 3-wide TV Ford Mustang appears like it is going to go no further. As you can see, it is missing a front bumper, and here at Talladega, that's usually not a good thing. In fact, it's never a good thing. So the 3-wide TV, he just has bad luck in that 3-wide TV machine. I think, Tristan, I think you should leave the 3-wide TV to us up in the booth. Find a different pace car because that one's not giving you any luck there, bud. But anyway, it looks like the pace car lights are off here, Mitchell. We're going to be going back green.
Yeah, green flag back after that wreck, and I think we were talking about it before that caution. We didn't hit on it. James Lorello did have a penalty, but that caution saved him, I believe. Lorello still on the lead lap, starting 11th here, as his teammate Bill Edwards going to lead the field back to green with Spencer Tart on his outside. Kind of creeping through the tri-oval, always kind of difficult to watch, but it sells more tickets for NASCAR, so we do what we do here, and Bill Edwards does take that green flag with a good restart for Spencer Tart on the outside lane, but really kind of broken up the front of the field, almost single file already. That was a much different start than we saw at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, and now it'll take a few laps for these drivers to get formed up. And in fact, some of the drivers that we have seen up at the front of the field here tonight, like Nick Cohan, like Shane Ewing, heavily damaged in that accident. And those drivers who've been mixing it up right up at the front of the field, their night's pretty much done here at Talladega, although I'm sure they had quite a bit of fun while it did last. 24 laps ago, make that 23 this time here at Talladega Super Speedway as we march our way towards the final third of the Polyhedral Cathedral 160 here on 3-wide TV. Looks like Bill Edwards in the number 50 is leading that inside group right in front of Spencer Tart, Daniel Buttafuoco down there, as well as Austin Grover. On the high line, however, we got J.D. Laird, the number 10 of Jimmy McKee, the number 19 Todd Kirkwood, Colin Ullery in that group. Somehow the number 62 of Colin Ullery came out of that one pretty much scot-free, because the number 62 right there doesn't really have any damage on it, which is extremely surprising considering there was a little bit of rubbing on the front end of that number 62 in that last accident. But iRacing can sometimes be a lottery. Sometimes your car is completely destroyed with just a little bit of a tap, and sometimes you can absolutely plow through someone at 190 miles an hour and you don't get any damage. So Colin Ullery kind of on the good end of that stick, at least from his perspective, as he continues to race here inside the top 10. Nick Chambrone in the 01 on his inside, and we got the purple number 13 of James Morello, fortuitous caution for him with that speeding penalty that you mentioned there, Mitchell. And to his outside is Briar Fritz in the number 16 machine, going for that Polyhedral Cathedral dash for cash here tonight.
Yeah, good battles up front, and not to jump around too much, Peter, but I just want to ask you, you mentioned the Texas race with the late race incident with Colin Ullery, and was it Nick Cohan who was involved in that with Colin Ullery?
Yeah, you are not wrong. So wondering if that thought went through my mind as well, to whether or not that bad blood, will continue between the 62 and the number 21. We'll have to see next week whether or not that is true or not. Of course, we got the rock and roll race next week here on 3-wide TV in the Total Nonstop Racing Thornton Graphix series, because Nick Chambrone very dangerously taking it 3-wide there up the middle, pushing the number 10 of Jimmy McKee to the high line. As contact, Austin Grover is going into the inside wall. Will that bring out a caution flag? We're trying to get a look on Austin Grover, but Grover's in two. Did he hit anything? It looks like there's a little bit of damage on the number 83. Caution flag is indeed in the air here. Let's see what happened here. In fact, there might have been a little bit more that went into this. There's the contact. And Chambrone doing the Chambrone dance right up into JT Poole and taking out Anthony DeBarro in it as well. And man, the Chambrone dance could not go on forever. And the 0-1, unfortunately, coming right up against the racetrack and knocking out some of these drivers.
Yeah, and We're going to go back here on the 3-wide TV replay and take another look. You see that car hitting the inside wall there, and here comes up the track. That is, I believe, I actually don't know who we're riding on board with, Peter, but you see JT Poole absolutely dying into that inside wall, stuck in the wall, but I don't know if there was like some contact from that third groove down to that 0-1 that might have triggered that. I don't know exactly what happened. You see the... No, I don't think there was contact with the 10. I think he might have just gone down, maybe mirror driving, seeing that 10 come down. But yeah, that's definitely... We were 3-wide. That was a 3-wide wreck, Peter, but not quite the way we expected one here today.
Yeah, let's see if we can kind of see here. This is kind of a awkward one, and I think there was contact from the left rear. It's gonna be kind of hard to say. Let's see, maybe if we can find a slightly better angle of this one. Yeah, here we go. Let's see. This is as slow motion as we get here on 3-wide TV, because the 10 comes down, and yeah, maybe Austin Grover came up just a smidgen off that yellow line. There was definitely really tight there coming off the corner. At one angle, it looked like the number 10 at McKee came down on Chambrone, but that definitely happened. Look at Todd Kirkwood squeaking his way on by. There goes Colin Ullery and Andrew Himmelman. But then further out back, we'll go on board here, play at full speed, on board with Anthony DeBarro. Watch this. All of a sudden, Chambrone comes up the racetrack, and bam! The DeBarro Sliders number 27 machine, that will not be back-to-back wins, that's for sure, for the number 27 machine. He calls it quits here tonight at Talladega after being involved in that particular accident. We see a lengthy stop on pit road here for Austin Grover. He was involved in that accident as well. You see a bunch of other drivers with a couple of junked up race cars, I would say, down there on pit road, trying to get them repaired here for the final 19 laps here at Talladega.
Yeah, some more cars sitting on pit road here as Bill Edwards, I believe, restarted that in the lead, and he'll still be your leader. Same with Spencer Tart, started second. He's now in second, but yeah, just the field really got thinned out, and it formed up again really quickly, Peter, but then right when it was really starting to get formed up and we started to see that 3-wide racing, there was just really tight racing where, I mean, it's difficult to say who's at fault for that because everyone's just there racing, and just the margins of error like we talk about here at Talladega are so small that just the slightest move up or down the track can trigger something like that. And unfortunately for cars like Anthony DeBarro, Austin Grover, that just, it kind of, I know, ruined DeBarro's race, and I have to imagine Grover and JT Poole, all those drivers with heavy damage that might take them out of the race. But just we had a great first half, Peter. We talked about all the green flag running, and we had two kind of back-to-back yellows. Hopefully we've seen the end of it here. These drivers have gotten it out, but you never know. Inside that last 20 laps of the race, probably going to restart with about 17 laps to go, I'd imagine. So the aggression from here just going to start picking up gradually, but we might see a lot more of that close quarters racing as the pace car lights are off, and we're going to go green next time by.
Yeah, so we'll be going back green here in just a little bit. Johnny Williams saying Chicagoland is next week. Yeah, he is right. It is Chicagoland next week. The Nashville Superspeedway Rock and Roll race is in 2 weeks. So you are spot on, Johnny. Of course, Johnny not in the field here tonight, unfortunately. Hope all is well with you back at home, Johnny. Hopefully we'll see you back in the field next week in the car that you were going to try and run last week. I won't spoil it for the people back at home. You'll just have to tune in 3-wide TV next week, hopefully, to see Johnny there. Ben Adams saying kind of looked like netcode, and that the 0-1 saved looks like netcode kind of saved the 0-1 car in the hit from the 27. Possibly. Todd Kirkwood saying that was a close call. Sure enough, it was. We saw you there on that 3-wide TV slow-mo in your Desert Hobbies machine. Stay tuned Sports saying, oh damn, he smashed that wall. Sure enough, he did. Oof. There was quite some contact there in that one. Just over the 1 hour mark here on the 3Wide TV stream. Make sure to give a like to the video. If you're watching right now, we're only at 3 likes. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a like spike if you want to help out us here on 3Wide TV, as well as the Total Nonstop Racing Thornton Graphix Grand National Series. As you can tell, some of the best racing in iRacing is here in the Total Nonstop Racing League, going back all the way to the NASCAR Racing 2003 season days. That's right, that is where the Total Nonstop Racing League originally formed, and now racing on the iRacing service about 14 years on from when a young Peter Short made his sim racing debut at Delaware Speedway in the Total Nonstop Racing League. And I'm not talking about Dover, Delaware. No, Delaware Speedway up in Ontario. I do believe it's in Ontario. Pretty sure. Anyway, it's in Canada. What do I know about Canada? I do know, however, green flag is about to come into the air here. 17 laps to go here, Mitchell, as Bill Edwards leads the field off towards turn number 1.
Once again, a great start for Bill Edwards. Really, I think, caught the field sleeping again. I'm not quite sure, but that's going to let Spencer Tart, I believe, his teammate down into the inside lane. I'm not quite sure about that. I'm pretty sure, but once again, those front two really got to jump on the field, single filed out really quickly once again. As those two cars behind him, though, that's Daniel Buttafuoco and J.D. Laird, I believe, going to have a great run, and do have a great run, as they're going to take it too wide down the back straightaway for the race lead, nose to nose into turn 3. A great run. That's what happens when you get that really good jump on the restart. If you don't have a ton of help behind you, like the 50 and 78 did not, that lets those cars behind you really get that draft down that back straightaway and through the turn and get a pretty good run on you, as the 30 noses ahead, almost contact between those front two. Not quite, but the 30 going to lead that lap. But once again, we're really quickly starting to form back up, but you see that field there and that image really spread out after just one lap.
Yeah, definitely can tell that there's a bunch of cars in the field that have some damage to them. You can see just how broken up that field is. Usually, if all the cars are together, you can really not make out any numbers from first all the way to the back of the field. As the 46 of J.D. Laird gets pushed up to the high line, now Jimmy McKee, Buttafuoco teaming up together in that middle groove, but it is still Bill Edwards leading that inside group with a push from Spencer Tart. Colin Ullery going to jump to the outside. No one going to go with driver of the number 62 machine as they run right now, as there might have been a little bit of dust thrown up that last time by. Could also be a car smoking on pit road from some of the earlier incidents. But look at Bob Giaquinto slowly creeping up into the picture here in the Polyhedral Cathedral 160. How cool would it be, Mitchell, to see Mr. Bob Giaquinto go to victory lane in the Polyhedral Cathedral number 23 tonight?
He'd have to be maybe the fan favorite here in this race. So we'd love to see Bob go out and win this race. Of course, I'd love to see him go win the race. He gave me a chance to come up here and watch the race with you up here in the broadcast booth, and it gives him a chance to go drive the car, which this is one of the most fun places to go out and race. So I have to imagine he's hopefully having a fun time up at the front of the field, which is led by an S2R 123 train there on the inside lane. Challenge up in the higher lane, though, coming from Colin Ullery, who we've seen involved in some of the excitement here in this middle section of the race as the field heads off into turns 1. 4 cars and 4 cars is really what that inside and outside lane is, and there you see Bob Giaquinto there, a little bit separated from those front 4 cars, which might close up a little, but it's not necessarily a bad strategy to. You see all those cars running single file. With about 14 laps to go, the excitement, but the aggression really starts to pick up, and those drivers back there are going to have a really good chance to get a run going when they're single file if they were to pull out of line. But up here at the front, it's been side by side with Colin Ullery, Bill Edwards. Colin Ullery looks like he noses ahead a little bit through the tri-oval. He does, and Ullery's going to lead that lap, Peter, with help from the 10 of James McKee. But really, it seems like almost a stalemate between these two lines. One's not really having the advantage. You see that inside lane pull out in the turns as Oh, almost contact between Spencer Tart and Colin Ullery as they head down the back straightaway. Big block by Bill Edwards and Spencer Tart. I'm almost surprised Colin didn't try and take it 3 wide. Obviously doesn't want to get quite that racy yet. As you look at the relatives down there, though, in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, the top 10, well, top 9, almost top 10, all within a half a second of each other. That's how small the margins are here at these super speedways.
And you can just start to see this front field starting to form up just a little bit more because, as you said, Mitchell, the final 10 laps at Talladega, you're starting to hear that bell ring for the final lap. You're starting to put yourself into position for an opportunity to try and get the checkered flag in the win here in the Polyhedral Cathedral 160. And we're just 2 laps away from that 10 lap to go mark. I know personally, Mitchell, I think every driver kind of has a go time here on these super speedway races. I typically like to go a little bit earlier than most people. Why? Because if you're, a little bit further back and you're, someone like Cam Caldwell right now, who's back there, you can see him kind of on the back of this group. He is kind of in a position right now. He's single file. He hasn't really made his bed which line to go with. But these drivers are going to start going here. I mean, here comes the 18 of Kyle Lewis. You don't want to be shuffled too far back. You really want to start trying to make your move and get your way up to the front. And if you can do so before other drivers, whoa, the 13 of James Lorello down there on the bottom side of the racetrack, still trying to save the number 13 machine. What happened here to Lorello that caused him to drop way back in the field? Let's see if we can figure out what happened here on this 3-wide TV replay. Maybe there was a little bit of contact, but remember, he was kind of the third driver in the little train here of the silent Cinda. Ooh, contact with Colin Ullery. A little bit, I think, a net code between those two, and Lorello having a whale of a time saving it, but unfortunately for Lorello, he killed the blue cone. RIP blue cone. But he's going to drop well back in the field, might be actually in danger here of losing the front draft pack. And as you can see, sure enough, he has. So he's going to need another caution flag if he wants to get back up into the picture. Now, new race leader Daniel Buttafuoco, 10 laps ago, he got himself in front of the Silent Syndicate racing train. And now the field just starting to get a little bit racy, a little bit further back. Drivers like Kyle Lewis back there starting to kind of get doubled up, knowing that the lap count is winding down. And that's kind of why I like going maybe a little bit earlier than some of these drivers, Mitchell, because if you're back there and everyone's going to start racing hard with 10 laps to go, you kind of miss your opportunity to make your way up to the front maybe a little bit easier. There's just something magic about 10 laps to go that everyone says, okay, I got to race hard now.
Yeah, I think this is the point in the race where really you have to start positioning yourself for those last 2 or 3 laps, because it takes time to make your way through the field here at these super speedways. It's not like if you were at, like, say, a mile and a half and you just had 2 or 3 blistering laps or like a road course. You just work your way right up through the field and pass a bunch of cars. Here it takes a lot more time to build up those runs, build up that momentum. So for me, I start to go about 10 or 15 laps to the ends really when I like to kick it into that gear and start trying to find myself into a position where I think I can win the race. And if right now you're that 30, that 50, that 62, 78, you're in a position right now where you can win the race. And right now it's more about defending that position than getting it, like if you're a little bit farther back in the pack. But some drivers I've raced with, Peter, they go the entire race, because if you're at the front come the end and you don't have to work your way up through the field, you've been there the whole time, so you're in that winning position. But that can be a very difficult thing to do, as we usually see a lot of comers and goers here, and if you get hung out, there's just nowhere to go. But you see Bill Edwards has been working both lines, and I gotta give him credit for it. He's been doing a great job. He lets that he rolls the inside lane, lets that outside lane get some momentum, if I can tell my lanes apart, and then he takes advantage of the momentum like we see here, or he just went up and stalled it earlier. So Bill Edwards has done a great job managing the lanes, and that's something some of the best restrictor plate racers you see do, or tapered spacer racers, or whatever you see. They can manage those lines. It's just like in real life with NASCAR, or you see like Brad Keselowski and some of those better drivers here. They just know how to manage the lanes. As contact, the 62 goes around into the field. There's a caution. Big wreck the 62 got turned around from, I believe, the 4th position right into that inside lane, and we're going to have to take a look back at that one here in a minute. This is a big wreck that took out a lot of those front contenders. We're going to look through the tri-oval here. Looks like someone, I can't quite tell from that angle, tried to take it 3 wide under the 62, and Colin Ullery, just either not knowing he was there, just didn't want to give him the room. Either way, the 62 goes around and collects a lot of other drivers, Peter, but this is going to shake things up once again.
Yeah, this is a shame right here. We got J.D. Laird here, tried to take it 3 wide in the 46 machine. There was a door that opened up by Colin Ullery just a fraction of an inch, and unfortunately straight up into Todd Kirkwood. Nowhere for Kirkwood to go. His bad luck here in this series continues. Here we go on board with the Desert Hobbies number 19 machine right there into the back of number 18. Pummeled right there. Looks like gets hit kind of at the end as well. I think the 22, Stephen Kegman. Let's see if we can see what happened here just to Kegman. As Jason Freeman, there's just a little bit of a nudge between those two. It's Freeman diving down to the bottom side of the racetrack to try and avoid the track blockage that was very apparent there. Let's see if we can go. Let's see if we can go back just a little bit and see if we can pick out Tim Johnson's view of this accident. Actually, let's look at Philip Scott's view of this accident here in his number 99. Can't miss it out there on the racetracks. Tries to slow up, tries to slow up, tries to slow up, tries to slow up. Stellar wreck avoidance, splitting the needle in that number 99 machine.
Yeah, great wreck avoidance, and it takes things like that to keep you in the race here in these late stages. So we're going to get another look. You see that 46 sees just a slight opening open up. You can see it, but I don't know if he went up into the 62 or the 62 came down. Either way, there was just not a lot of room, but those are the kind of gaps you have to take here within the last 10 laps, really. If you want to be up in that winning position like we've been talking about, sometimes you just have to take those looks into the field. As you can see, he might have just gone slightly up the track, but really there's not a lot of room either way. I don't really give him too much fault for that one. But yeah, it's just aggressive racing here as we're looking at Spencer Tart all the way down there. I believe he managed to keep a hold of it, but yeah, it's just one of those deals, Peter, where really you're just racing and nobody's really at fault for that. It just kind of happens that Spencer Tart did a great job keeping it from going up into the field, because if he goes all the way back up onto the racetrack, it collects a lot more cars.
Yeah, that was some awesome driving there by Spencer Tart and everyone to avoid him. Now, we did see, unfortunately, driver of the number 23 machine, our own Bob Giaquinto, involved in that accident there just a moment ago. And there you see the number 23 of Bob Giaquinto on the left side of your screen. Not sure if that is night done for him or not, but he's missing a front end. Let's see if we can figure out exactly what happened to Bob Giaquinto in this accident. There he is, bottom side, right behind Briar Fritz in the number 16, who's going for that Shibby Shack Dash for cash. And Bob Giaquinto kind of got bullied around. Unfortunately, front end contact, rear end contact, and that is enough for him to lose that front bumper. Kind of harsh there by iRacing. We've seen probably harder contact here tonight, although somehow, some way, looks like the iRacing pit crew found another spare bumper for Bob Giaquinto. Hopefully his crew able to kind of patch it up enough. As you can see your leaders out there right now, coming down to just 5 laps to go here at Talladega. Lights are still on, so we're looking at most a 3-lap shootout. Of course, we do have some green-white checkered opportunities here in the Total Nonstop Racing League. So we could still be in for a wild finish here, that's for sure. And how about Spencer Tart here? He went all the way down there on the bottom side of the racetrack. He's still being scored in 3rd. That is extremely impressive for the number 78.
Yeah, especially after you almost see your race end. You end up all the way down there, gone through the grass, managed to save the car, and you're still in 3rd. That's not a bad lap there for Spencer Tart, as he's right back where he was when that race went under caution flag. I think iRacing pace car lights went off that lap, I do believe, which means we will be seeing a 3-lap shootout for the race win, barring another caution that'll put us into an overtime finish. But that's plenty of time, Peter, for some more exciting racing. But do you think we're going to see on this restart the field get spread out like we have, or do you think drivers are going to be more on it this start and really be able to keep it in a pack within the first lap?
Yeah, so we will see. I think the key thing to this restart will be getting lined up and kind of hooked up very quickly, especially some of the drivers up the front. Now, what I'm seeing is some very torn up race cars throughout this field, and that's going to be at the detriment of a couple of these drivers. Todd Kirkwood, I think in the number 19 machine, I think is being very gentlemanly here. I think he has accepted or asked for an end of longest line penalty or something of the sort. He understands this is not his race to run anymore, unfortunately, although I'm sure he will try and get everything he can out of the number 19 towards the end of the race. Tristan Maher in the number 98 as well, also dropping to the tail end of the field. They're on the lead lap. They're just in really slow race cars, unfortunately, and drivers like Garrett Gleason in the number 7 now going to benefit from that, because I think Garrett's got a clean machine. Maybe a little bit of right side damage. You saw it there just glinting. But he's now an opportunity to walk away with a top 10. We know Tim Johnston, he has a little bit of damage in the number 28. How fast will he be? That's kind of a interesting thing to look at here late in the race. But 3 laps here, Mitchell. Once the green flag drops, pace car headed down pit road. Daniel Buttafuoco looking for the win here tonight at the Talladega Super Speedway. It is going to be one wild finish here in this Thornton Graphix Grand National Series event. Just 3 more laps, Mitchell.
Yeah, 3 more laps to go when we restart as that pace car pulls down pit road and we work our way through the front tri-oval again. The field in the hands of Daniel Buttafuoco here for this restart. He gets on the loud pedal. Green flag in the air. Great restart from Spencer Tark. Great restart from Bill Edwards. Definitely a good restart for a lot of these drivers up here, and it's just going to be a matter of who can get the better push going. I'd watch for that 78 and the 50, the S2R teammates, to try and get together, but a fantastic start from the inside lane, but definitely want that outside lane up there, formed up very well. Andrew Himmelman dropping down to the inside. Car moving up the field. Contact. Bill Edwards. Cars going around everywhere. Big wreck here again on the back straightaway. We're back under caution.
Yeah, Jimmy McKee. Oh, man. Looks like Cam Caldwell, 12 machine, impaling the inside wall. Garrett Gleason getting a piece of it. Oh, man. You could tell that they were racing so hard there on the backstretch, and it was probably inevitable. If you called that one in the chat, good call, because this is going to be another thing to break down here. Let's see if we can break it down. I think it happened right up here. Put this in slow-mo. Tim Johnston, Bill Edwards getting contact with one another. Then the 28 comes down, clips the number 99. Not the best angle in the world there. Jimmy McKee just barely getting caught. Briar Fritz getting launched into the wall. James Arello getting a piece of it. Nick Chambrone, Briar Fritz there going backwards on the racetrack. Look at all the drivers there just scrambling to get down to the bottom side of the racetrack. Number 16 comes down the racetrack. Oh, we don't have a good angle of that one. We just have all of the people and their haulers and stuff down there. Those are not haulers. Those are campers, Peter. Anyway, whatever. Briar Fritz going back up the racetrack right there. And Garrett Gleason, you see him on the grass trying to slow up, and boom. The number 7 getting into the 16. And that might be the big one here tonight. Not 100% sure, but enough to bring out the caution flag.
Definitely another big wreck. We saw Andrew Himmelman do some off-roading there. Rear end significantly damaged. I don't know if it was from that, though. As we're looking down the back straightaway, the 30 and the 78 both go down the track. That kind of checked up the, I believe, 98 car. I'm not positive, but that green car down, that's the 99 Philip Scott, I do believe. That kind of checked him up, and then the car behind him, that 28, just tried to move up the track to miss the checkup instead of piling into the 99, and that just kind of led to what you see here. It's just that happened within, on the racetrack, maybe a second or two. So there's just such little time for those guys to react. And unfortunately, with 3 laps to go in a green, white checker, I think, restart. That stuff just kind of happens as we watch Andrew Himmelman go for his little off-road adventure there through turns 3 and 4, sliding it around there. But yeah, definitely. And now, Peter, we're just going to stack them up and do it again here for the first attempt at overtime here.
Yeah, so we will go to a green-white checker here. You see the pace car lights are on here in the Total Nonstop Racing Thornton Graphix Grand National Series race. It is the Polyhedral Cathedral 160 at the Talladega Super Speedway. We want to thank each and every one of you for joining us here tonight on the channel. Stay tuned Sports saying, oh crap, Drew was sliding on the grass. Sure enough, he was, but was able to save it. Tana Himmelman saying, Drew's still got all that homework on the brain. Yeah, it definitely hasn't been up there near the front for a lot of the race, but he's been able to sneak his way up. Todd Kirkwood was involved in the last caution flag, said he had nowhere to go. No, you did not, Todd. And the racetrack was blocked very, very quickly. But my, oh my. Caution flag back in the air here at Talladega. And it's kind of been polar opposite here, Mitchell. From what we saw in the beginning of the race, we saw at the top of the show 3-wide action for the first half of the race. Really, I mean, we got all the way to green flag pit stops for the first caution flag to come out, and then ever since, it has been cautions, kind of breeding cautions here. But man, that first half of the race, when we were green flag, 3-wide, we even saw 4-wide. As the leaders worked their way around Anthony DeBarro, who was at that time a lapped car, now unfortunately retired and off the racetrack after being involved in one of these big, heavy incidents. A great night for the number 50 S2R machine. Looks like he's now missing a rear spoiler. Now, that might not be a bad thing. Rear spoiler adds downforce, which slows you down, but not sure how iRacing models the downforce / drag on these cars, because that's obviously going to add quite a bit of drag in itself, because the rear deck lid is now completely exposed. So Noel Edwards has to fight with that. In fact, it's kind of turned the entire rear bumper into a rear spoiler if you think about it. But we still have a few undamaged cars, surprisingly. Not very many, but I think Daniel Buttafuoco is one of them. I think maybe Stephen Kegman might be mostly undamaged. It says, hi, Garrett, on the rear bumper. Who else do we have that might be undamaged? What about Jason Freeman? The number 20 is mostly undamaged. That's good. Somehow Doziak is... I'm just kidding, Stephen. But the number 55 is undamaged. Jason Shu in the number 3's got a little bit of rear end damage. Just looking to see if we have anyone else. I think that's it. I think that is it. So Jason Shu there in the number 12, running, of course, the number 3 Dale Earnhardt inspired scheme. But here's the good news, Mitchell. Pace car lights are off, so we'll have our first attempt at a green-white checker here upcoming.
Now, first of 3 attempts we have, so if there is another caution here, they will get another chance to do it again. I think that last restart we saw the field much more contained, much more stacked up, so drivers were on at the last restart. Well, I'm curious to see if that 30 tries something different here on this restart, but I really think for the 30 of Daniel Buttafuoco, that was about as good a restart as you can get, because you really don't want to get detached from that car behind you, and he was able to stay right with the 78 of Spencer Tart, and that put them 1-2 here for this restart. But once again, they're going to have to do it again, and I just look at those cars in the second row, because that's really where the pushes are going to be coming from. That 01 of Nick, the 01 of Nick, I'm going to say the name wrong, sorry, Chiambrone, maybe, he's missing his front end, so that car definitely more hurt than the 28, who's also just slightly wounded down below him, but I'd look for that to probably be a disadvantage for Spencer Tart, because he may not be able to get the help he needs to push him up to the front. But either way, pace car lights are in, and it is the 30 of Daniel Buttafuoco leading the field once again to the green flag for the first attempt at a green-white checker here in TNR overtime. The flagman with the green flag in his hands waving it. We are back under green for overtime attempt number 1.
Yeah, and I don't know if Nick Chiambrone realizes just how damaged he is. Look at some of these cars a little bit further back. You can tell who's damaged and off the pace. because some of these cars are going backwards in a hurry like they have an absolute parachute thrown out. Look at this, and they're bumping off the wall. You can see James Arello, the number 13, is pretty heavily damaged. They're having to all try and find their way around. And meanwhile, up at the front of the field, it's Daniel Buttafuoco and Spencer Tart side by side. And look at Jason Freeman and Andrew Himmelman, the number 8 and the number 20, getting a huge shot up to the front. We're 3 wide for the race lead, coming to the white flag this time.
Yeah, Spencer Tart really tried to throw a block on the 8. There's really not much he can do to stop the momentum of the 8. The 8 going to leave the 20 of Jason Freeman behind, who pushed him up to the front. Andrew Himmelman now leads as they come through the front tri-oval. 3 wide for second place. No help for anybody but on the inside lane. Himmelman going to lead him to the white flag, and this will end. Next flag going to end the race here. Himmelman leads the inside lane. Spencer Tart all by himself there on the outside lane. Some cars trying to make that third groove work. We're packed up kind of again here. It's just, can anybody make the run on Andrew Himmelman? You see the 30 almost clear of Spencer Tart. He needs to clear that 78 if he wants a chance at the race lead. Headed down the backstretch though. The 55 of Steven Doziak with a pretty good run on the front toward the front as they head into turn 3 and 4 for the final time.
Look at Steven Doziak on that high line, trying to get every push he can get from the number 46 of J.D. Laird. We're coming to the checkered flag. Himmelman throws a big block on Buttafuoco. They all start to scatter as they come to the tri-oval. Himmelman gets a nudge as Freeman gets pushed down to the inside. There's contact, and there's more contact. Buttafuoco coming to the line, the number 30, gonna win at Talladega by just 1/100th of a second. Steven Doziak Jr. gonna come home in second. Cars flipping and flying. Jason Freeman unofficially gonna come home in third. We'll see if the league rules that he was pushed down below the yellow line or not. But what a wild finish here at Talladega. Unfortunately, some of these drivers like J.D. Laird, Andrew Himmelman, so close, ending up pretty much as the last car is on the lead lap. What a wild and zany finish.
Yeah, I don't think we could have scripted much better finish. And we talked about the disadvantage Nick Chambone in that 01 was going to be in. He still finished 5th, even with all that front end damage. So great driving by him and maneuvering. As we're going to take a look back here, coming to the checkered flag, Andrew Himmelman threw the block high, and Himmelman went with Spencer Tart in the middle, thinking he'd have the bigger run. And you see the 20 there down on the inside. Himmelman really, I think he tried to get down below him here, but you see that 20 is already there. Himmelman can't get down below him, and so Himmelman has to go back up slightly, although he really didn't, and that led to contact with the 20, and then it's on from there. Spencer Tart with nowhere to go. The 30 got really lucky. Andrew Himmelman didn't come back up into him anymore, so you see the 46 end over end getting thrown around down the front straightaway, and they're wrecking coming to the line. Kyle Lewis up into the catch fence. An exciting finish, really, to a very exciting race here, Peter.
Yeah, wow. And then up at the front, we didn't even get the battle for the win there because it was tight between Buttafuoco and Steven Doziak. We'll get this one right here. Look at this. We'll stop it right there. Look at this in the photo finish cam. Buttafuoco just a nose in front of Steven Doziak Jr. Absolutely crazy right there. Taking home the win in that number 30 machine. Left it late. That is for sure. Buttafuoco here will make sure we can get his celebratory burnouts here on the front stretch at Talladega for his win here in the Total Nonstop Racing Thornton Graphix Grand National Series. What a great run to the finish. I'm sure if you're an Andrew Himmelman fan, you'll be a bit disappointed there because Freeman decided to go down there below the yellow line, and that might have been what kind of triggered that final accident because you saw Himmelman try and make a move to block, but the 20 of Freeman looks like he was going down there. We saw that on that slow-mo replay as Buttafuoco burning it down for the fans. Looks like Steven Doziak Jr. is excited about his runner-up finish here tonight. Gained 27 positions on his way to a second spot here at Talladega, and Buttafuoco did those burnouts there, and he said, you know what, I'm going to go get dirty, go play in the grass some. You see all those tire marks there from that late race accident, plus a lot of the ones that iRacing has just added for effect, as Buttafuoco burns it down on the NASCAR race logo right there in the center of the racetrack. What a wild and zany finish. And of course, we will see if we can talk to some of these top finishers here tonight at Talladega. Just looking to see if we can get Jason Freeman down here into the waiting room for an interview. And sure enough, I believe that we have picked up the driver who's finished in the second spot here tonight in the Polyhedral Cathedral 160 at Talladega Super Speedway. Of course, that is driver of the number 20 machine, Jason Freeman. Jason, Peter Short 3Y TV booth, you got a copy?
Yep.
Well, as a wacky finish there to finish the race, unofficially being scored in the third spot at the time of the checkered flag dropping. But all in all, what a wild race out there, and what a wild way to finish it.
Yeah, it was a war of attrition, I think. I don't know. I just tried to ride at the back most of the night and try to keep my car clean to make a run there at the end like we did. So plan kind of worked out, and pushed Andrew to the front there, and I thought he was going to stay with me till we cleared him. And if he had waited for me and we could have both cleared, there's cars on the inside, I would have stuck with him the whole time. But he left me out to dry there, so I had to regroup and try to see what I could do.
Well, it was a wacky finish, and I know for most of the race you were kind of further back in the pack. When did you decide to try and make your charge up to the front?
No, I hadn't gone into my mind all night that I was just going to try to be right at the back of that lead pack, and probably about 5 to go start making moves. But those cautions switched that up a little bit, and I lost my drafting partners of Tristan. And that first pit stop, I was too far to the left, so I came out just a touch behind Tristan and Graphix, who I was working with, and might have been a blessing in disguise. It sucks for them. They got caught up in that first big wreck, and because of my mistake, I was just behind it, so I was able to survive that.
Well, some really wild wrecks, and the number 20 mostly coming home in one piece here tonight. But hey, next week we go to Chicagoland. What are your thoughts about that very fast 1.5 mile track?
Yeah, we've always been pretty good on the 1.5 miles, so I'm probably looking forward to it. Had taken a little break from my racing there for a while, so up until 2 weeks ago when we were at Texas, I think that was the first time I turned my computer on in 4 weeks, and basically the only 2 races I've done has been Texas and Milwaukee, and haven't had much time during the week or weekends to get on here at all. So it's like anything else. I feel like the more you do it, the better you are, and I haven't been on here very much lately, so I guess we'll see how it goes.
Absolutely. Definitely going to be a lot of fun at Chicagoland next week. Before I let you go, any shout-outs?
When I do race on here, I try to stream a little bit, so I got a Facebook page, Mason Dixon Racing Esports. Anyone following can check that out. Check out Mason Dixon Cornwall on Facebook. Big shout out to Thornton Graphix and for their sponsorship in the league. You guys up in the booth, and TNR and Garrett and all the guys that make this happen every week.
Absolutely. Well, Jason, good luck next week here on 3Y TV. Hope to talk to you then.
Yep, sounds good. Thank you, guys.
All right, that's going to do it for tonight's third place finisher, Jason Freeman. I believe that Mitchell Adams has caught up with tonight's runner-up, driver of the number 55, Steven Doziak, by just 1/100th of a second, Mitchell.
Yeah, Steven Doziak came across the line second here. Do you have a copy?
Yes, I do, Mitchell.
Well, 9/1000ths of a second, about as close as you can get here at Talladega without winning the race. What were you thinking there during those crazy last few laps?
I just pulled out a line the final lap out of turn 2, and I just rode the wall the whole way around, pulled that Larson line. I mean, it works for him, so I figured I'll try it, and sure and behold, 9/1000ths. I mean, couldn't ask for a better ending.
And would you have done anything differently throughout the race, maybe to kind of put yourself into a different position there for those last few laps and maybe get that one more spot?
I mean, I was pleased with how I was running all night, hanging out in the back. That's usually my motto. But, I mean, I'm happy with a P2. I'm usually a mid-pack driver, so to come out, with a podium finish, I mean, I can't complain with anything like that.
Yeah, and just kind of throughout the night, what was your strategy, and kind of were you able to keep up with all the cautions and the pit stops we had here tonight?
Yeah, I was hanging out in the back, and then when Lorello fell back, got pushed down low, I dropped out to pick him up. Luckily, I did that because I would have got involved in that one caution. So then we just reset, waited till the last lap, and just went for it. I mean, I have nothing to lose. You know, I'm not racing for a championship, so I figured, let's try and play a Cinderella story here.
Well, it definitely worked out pretty well for you here tonight. Next week, the series headed to Chicagoland Speedway, the 1.5-mile track. What are your thoughts headed into there?
Mid pack as usual. You know, you'll see me and Garrett Gleason hanging around back, just picking cars off one by one. You know, if we get a top 10, we get a top 10. If not, you know, we just want to finish the race and, you know, move on to the week after.
Well, definitely looking forward to seeing you there. And before we let you go here, do you have anybody you want to give a shout out to here on 3Y TV?
Yeah, you guys in the booth. Thank you, Mitchell. If you weren't able to do it, I was going to have to call the race tonight. So, you know, you could share this P2 with me because I would have been up in your position. Garrett at TNR, all the race admins, Justin White, race control, you and Peter. I mean, week after week, you guys do a great job. You know, my parents that always watch the races, my uncle, you know, he'll be excited to watch that finish. So overall, just everybody involved in this TNR 3-wide broadcast.
Well, thank you for the shout out, and thank you for stopping in with us here, and congratulations again on your second place finish. Have a good night.
Thanks, you as well.
All right, that's going to do it with tonight's runner-up driver of the number 55 machine, Steven Doziak. Let's see if we can get Daniel Buttafuoco up here into the 3-wide TV booth. Daniel, my, oh my, what a wild and zany finish here tonight, Talladega, but I don't think you would expect anything else here at the famed 2.66 miles super speedway. Walk us through tonight's race. Of course, you were up there for a good majority of the race, missing the big accidents and then making some moves there late in the race to take home the win. Tell us about it.
Holy cow, guys. Man, I'm over the moon. I am really happy. Going into this race, you know, it's obviously Talladega, so there's a lot of things have to go your way, and I wasn't expecting much because I'm typically not a good plate race, the best at being there when it matters, or I'm good when it comes to being there at the end. It's just I don't know how to execute the moves properly. So the start, I was just taking my time, just trying to save some fuel, try to go out as long as I could on the first stint. And me and my buddy JD, who was in the race, we were kind of working together. We were at different ends of the track, but then we caught up to one another as we got closer to the pit cycle, so we pit the same lap. Then the lap we pit, the caution came out, so that really helped us gain a lot of track position back because a lot of guys were pushing before pit cycle. So we moved up to 5th, and then we were just riding in line, and I was just kind of taking my time, trying to pick and choose some moves, and then slowly working my way. First time I got the lead, I tried to clear myself, but it didn't work, so I fell all the way back to 4th and 9 on the inside, and I thought for sure that it was impossible, that the win wasn't going to be an option. But then as soon as I pulled out and got in front of the 62, we were gone, and we just took the lead away, and we were able to hold it off. And then that last lap was just insane. That was crazy. I got so close so many times the past 2 weeks with a win, you know, ever since COTA, Texas, and especially Milwaukee. So it feels really good to have a win here at Talladega. But I definitely want to win at a track like, you know, Chicago, Nashville, Charlotte, which is coming up soon, to really try to make myself stand out and try to keep working on my craft and try to get ever so closer to the playoff bubble.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Chicagoland coming up next week, what are your thoughts about Chicago?
I really like the track. It's really fun. It's got a lot of character to it. It's the bottom line is really fun to run around. The top is also can be pretty fun as well. You can kind of use it. I did trucks there, I think a month ago for officials. Not the best comparison at all, but you could kind of hold the top and maintain some track position at the start, but it really burned your tires. So it's going to be really all about, you know, ripping the bottom, trying to save your tires and trying to keep on top of that. But the top probably can still work. I don't really know. I don't have any Xfinity experience around that track, but I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be a really fun track. I think it's gonna be a fun race. I should say. I can't really get my words out. I'm so overwhelmed. It's gonna be a fun race. I think the track's really good. There's gonna be a lot of lanes being used. It's gonna be very competitive as always, and it's gonna really make for some good racing and a good broadcast for you guys to commentate over.
Absolutely. It is definitely going to be a fun race. I love going to Chicagoland. It definitely does put on some great racing here in the iRacing service. But hey, before we let you go, Daniel, shout outs you'd like to give out?
Absolutely, man. Every week. I want to say a big thank you to everybody over here at Total Nonstop Racing for putting on such a great series. We had a lot of long green flag laps. I think the first stint went green for 35 laps straight, which is really great. Got a lot of good side-by-side racing, sometimes 3-wide pack racing, which is really cool to see. There's a lot of nice moves being done, guys trying to step out of line, trying to make some moves. It was really cool. Just all the drivers who make these races really enjoyable and rewarding to race in. Big shout out to you, Peter and Mitchell, for the commentary this week. You guys always do a great job, and can't wait to watch back this one and hear the call to the line, because I've been waiting to get a first win here. I've been waiting for a win because I feel like we got robbed a few weeks ago. And I want to say also a big thank you to my friend JD. He did his first race here. He made my car. Car looks beautiful. I asked him for some help because I'm still new to this sim, still trying to learn the ropes, and asked him some questions here or there, and gave me some good tips on the restarts to try and hold off the lead. And it's just been always a big help for me. Not just him, but all my other friends who have met throughout this. All my friends who I've met on this sim, and all my family sorry, I'm screwing up the interview, bro. All my family and friends for the great support throughout this whole esports adventure. Racing in a pro league and then doing some iRacing on the side, trying to be very competitive over on here. And all the partners involved in this series, Total Nonstop Racing, and yeah, just really, really happy about this first win. I mean, I didn't expect it to come here at all. This is probably the last track I would have expected it to come at, but hey, a win's a win at the end of the day, and we really earned it fighting our way through. So I'm really happy, and hopefully we can try to earn some more wins these next few weeks to try and make the playoffs and get a run for a championship.
Absolutely. Getting your first win here in the Total Nonstop Racing League here tonight. Daniel, best of luck next week at Chicagoland.
Thanks, man.
All right, well, that's going to do it with our race-winning interview. Daniel Buttafuoco taking home his first win here in the series this season. Definitely was a wild and zany one here at Talladega Superspeedway, as it looks like our ticker has broken yet again. We've been working on our graphics package, and hopefully, folks, the new graphics package comes along here soon. But let's see if we can bring up the final race results there. Daniel Buttafuoco, Stephen Dozier Jr. 1-2, Jason Freeman, Tim Johnson coming across third and fourth, Nick Chambrone, Tristan Maher 5th and 6th, Stephen Kegman and Philip Scott 7th and 8th, Bob Giaquinto 3-wide TV zone making his way a top 10 finish here tonight, right in front of Jason Shu in the Jason Shu Racing number 3 machine there, Mitchell.
Vincent Valvano brought it home in the 11th position, Nick Cohan in 12th, Garrett Gleason in 13th, Kyle Lewis 14th, James Laurello brings it home in the 15th position with Tony Lucarelli 16th, JD Laird 17th, Bill Edwards 18th, James McKee 19th, and Spencer Tart is going to round out your top 20.
21st position going to go here tonight to Austin Grover, Briar Fritz in 22nd, Jason Gracias, the last car on the lead lap, 1 minute and 18 seconds behind your race winner here tonight. Believe it or not, Andrew Himmelman going to be the first driver to finish a lap down. So close again in the number 8 machine. Casey Miller going to come home 25th, John Bors 26th, Todd Kirkwood, Cam Caldwell 27th and 28th, Mike Floppy Taylor and Colin Ullery round out your top 30 there, Mitchell.
Yeah, and bringing out the rest of the field, JT Poole ended up 17 laps down 31st. Anthony DeBarro ended up 32nd. Josh Gerlach in 33rd. Yeah, 33rd. I'm losing track of my numbers. Was Shane Ewing in 34th. Kevin Stone in 35th. And Justin White. He's your admin. He didn't race, rounded out the 36 car field.
And of course, we have a few things to clean up here just before the end of the race. And of course, that is the Polyhedral Cathedral Dash for Cash winner here tonight. That is going to go to the 24th place finisher here tonight. Driver of the number 16 machine, Briar Fritz, finished, I believe, 1 lap down. Sure enough, was 1 lap down in the number 16 here tonight. But going to pick up some extra cash courtesy of our friends over at Polyhedral Cathedral. And of course, a big shout out to Polyhedral Cathedral for sponsoring tonight's event here at Talladega Super Speedway, the Polyhedral Cathedral 160. And of course, next week, same time, same place, it will be August 16th, 2021 at the Chicagoland Speedway at 8:30 Eastern. More total nonstop racing, Thornton Graphix Grand National Series action for you here on the channel. Big shout out to our friends over at Sim TV for the camera angles we brought you here tonight at the beautiful Talladega Super Speedway. But until then, folks, stay safe and we shall see ya.